Hi guys, guess who we're going to talk about today? This is about Dave Ramsey. This is his book called The Total Money Makeover. Dave Ramsey, I actually do not, I've never read the book, interestingly, even though I gave it to all of my kids for Christmas 2 years ago. My kids have read it. This is the book, and Dave Ramsey, if you're not familiar with him, he's on Afternoon Drive, and he does a live broadcast on YouTube, actually, about financial issues, and he's a big proponent of helping people get out of debt. He talks, if you watch him, or if you haven't ever watched him, he talks about a lot about his own experience, and I think he was in bankruptcy by the time he was 26, 27, 28 or something like that. He claims that the only thing he had left at his house was a kitchen table and maybe a crib for his first child. So he really pulled himself up, and he was pretty strict, and he has what he is very famously known for is the 7 baby steps to financial freedom. He has a university that he does. It's called Financial Peace University. I have not done it, but people absolutely love it. A lot of people give it as wedding gifts to newly married couples so that they can start their married life on a good footing. There are 1,000 Dave Ramsey resources, but I just wanted to give you a very quick introduction to Dave Ramsey because I will be talking about him. I quote Dave Ramsey, things that he says, and I don't follow everything he says 100%, but I do believe that his attitudes about money are right on. So he has 7 baby steps. The first step, and he's talking about someone who is in a really bad financial situation, is to create a $1,000 emergency fund. That is for someone who is struggling to pay debts, has lots of credit card debt, lots of student loan debt, lots of mortgage debt, et cetera, and struggling to make payments. He says the first step, which he says it's a baby step, is to get $1,000 in an emergency fund that is in the bank. The next step is to pay off all debts except for your house using what he calls the snowball method. The snowball method is, I'm going to simplify this, is to put all your debts down on a piece of paper, starting from the lowest. You owe $1,000 on your credit card and you owe $40,000, let's say, on student loan. Regardless of the percentage, and this is where a lot of people don't think that Dave Ramsey is correct. He says pay off the lowest debt first, the smallest debt first, the $1,000 debt, because that will give you the financial freedom of that just hanging over your head, and then you move on to the next debt. It's called the snowball, and what happens is it starts small, and as it's going down the hill, it's gathering momentum and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're going to start to be able to pay off the biggest debt, and then you're going to be debt free. After you have paid off all your debt except the house, you're going to get 3 to 6 months of savings in a fully funded emergency fund. At step 4, you're going to invest 15% of your household income into Roth IRAs and pre-tax retirement plans. This is really interesting because, again, this is where he loses some people. He is, as well as Susie Orman. She said the same thing. Fund your retirement before you fund your kids' college funds. Kids will find a way to get to college. You need to make sure the money is there for you when you retire. Step 4 was invest 50% of your household income into Roth IRAs and pre-tax retirement plans. Step 5 is college funding. In other words, a 529 plan. He is, in terms of college, he's a big proponent of kids going to state schools. He says that he employs thousands of people and he doesn't know where anyone went to college. He also is a strong proponent of people going to college with what he calls real majors, things like STEM and nothing, I think he called it left-handed puppetry and underwater basket weaving. He's very critical of the people who, as he says, waste their parents' money by going off to college and studying and getting degrees in subject matters which are going to be very difficult to get jobs. Again, this is where a lot of people go off the bandwagon, but I happen to agree with him on that. You're also then in step 6, you're supposed to pay off your house. He does acknowledge and understand that your house, which is probably, somewhere between 100 to however many hundred thousands of dollars, in debt is the last thing you should do, but you should be starting to put money away so that you ultimately pay off the loan of your house loan. And the last thing he says is step 7 is at the time when you are paying off your house, all of the money that is coming into you is providing you with wealth and enables you to give generously. I think that's I'm really simplifying Dave Ramsey, and I just wanted to give you those 7 baby steps. If you've heard people or me talk about 7 baby steps or Dave Ramsey, that is what he says. I highly recommend you listen to his YouTube, and I'll put a link down there. He is one of these people who is controversial, and yet I love listening to him because he's kind of has a tough attitude, and which I think, especially for someone who is floundering, that's kind of, he gives the tough advice that you might not want to hear. This is Leslie from a series of Frugal Thoughts. My Frugal Thought for you today is to read Dave Ramsey. At the very least, pay attention to his, listen to his podcast. Or what I was doing at work is sometimes I would sit there and have my headphones on while I was working at my computer. It would be, and I would just listen to him. He does, one of the things he talks about is also the debt-free scream or rant, I think it's called. And it's people who have paid off debts for early and who are now debt-free, all debts. He's against student loan debt. He's against credit card debt. And ultimately, he wants you to pay off your house debt. That's the last step, but 6th step rather, that when these people achieve this financial freedom, he allows them to come in and rant and scream about it. And it's actually really inspiring. It sounds hokey, but it's actually really inspiring. Anyway, this is Leslie. Please subscribe and like my video. I do these videos about frugal thoughts and ways for you to save money for your family. I think that following the Dave Ramsey philosophy is a great way for you to get financial peace, as he says it. And he's all about rice and beans, beans and rice. If you're in debt and don't have money, don't go out to dinner, don't spend money foolishly. So I highly recommend him for anyone who's trying to go into a frugal lifestyle. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.